individual should things go bad. This type of setting is where propofol is utilized, not this type of setting. And you will hear from the medical experts with unanimity that the improper setting represents an extreme violation of the standard of care and amounts to gross negligence on the part of Conrad Murray. You will additionally hear that propofol is for the induction and maintenance of general anesthesia, for mechanically ventilated patients, and for procedural sedation. It is not indicated by any means for the treatment of insomnia. It is not an agent for the treatment of insomnia, and to use it to put someone to sleep in that manner is an extreme deviation from the standard of care and amounts to gross negligence. You also learn that propofol requires continuous medical monitoring. It requires an electrocardiogram, an ECG, so you monitor the heart. It requires automated blood pressure monitoring, pulse oximetry with an alarm, and capnography. Capnography measures the CO2 exhalations of your body. Blood pressure, the ECG measures the heart. So what did Conrad Murray have at scene? Well, as I indicated, there was the ambu bag found on the floor. But in Conrad Murray's own tape-recorded interview, he makes no mention of using the ambu bag. In fact, what you'll learn from the coroner's investigators is that when they recovered the oxygen tank near the bed and pulled it out of evidence after it had been booked into evidence, the oxygen tank was empty. So not only was the oxygen tank empty, but Conrad Murray himself makes no mention of using this ambu bag, which in theory would have been hooked up to that oxygen tank. There was no capnography monitoring equipment. There was no ECG. He did, in the house, a blood pressure cuff was recovered. The blood pressure cuff was recovered in the closet, inside of a zippered black bag, inside of this box, inside of this second black zippered bag, and by all appearances, and you will have this in evidence, appears to be pristine, if not unused. That is the blood pressure cuff that was found at the scene. How about pulse oximetry? Pulse oximetry measures the oxygen saturation in your blood, and it is absolutely a crucial component when administering agents such as this. However, as part of that absolute crucial component, it needs to have an audible alarm so that when things go bad, you know it. What Conrad Murray was using is this. It is the least expensive pulse oximeter probably on the market. It works just fine for particular needs, and that is, it's designed literally to be worn around a doctor's neck as they make the rounds at a hospital. They clip it onto a patient's finger, and they spot check. They literally, on site, look at the reading on the monitor to get a reading of the oxygen saturation levels. There is no audible alarm on this pulse oximeter. If you are not literally staring at this tiny screen, this is utterly useless. And for hundreds of dollars more, Conrad Murray could have had a real pulse oximeter with an alarm. It would not have justified him abandoning his patient, but at least there would have been the security of an alarm when the oxygen saturation levels reach dangerous levels. This is what Conrad Murray characterized as the necessary safety measures. Propofol requires immediate access to all standard resuscitation equipment and drugs. This would include a crash cart, an automatic defibrillator, and emergency airway equipment, such as endotracheal tubes, things of that nature, so you can ventilate the patient, get air into their system, so you can bring them out of any dangerous situations. None of that was at the scene. None of that was recovered at the scene, nor does Conrad Murray make any mention of having any of that at the scene. This was another extreme deviation from the standard of care and amounts to a serious neglect and gross negligence. Propofol requires continuous presence, visual monitoring, and vigilance. And if you are the type that is willing to abandon your patient, then you need to make sure there's another individual who's skilled in the area of resuscitation and medical care to monitor that patient with 2 eyes on the patient. It's absolutely critical when you're dealing with an agent such as propofol. But we know from Murray's own words that he abandoned Michael Jackson. This, including the abandonment, including the preoccupation with the email and the phone calls, amounts to another extreme deviation, gross negligence, gross medical care. The benzodiazepines, when combined with the propofol in this type of setting, they contribute to the respiratory problems, the cardiovascular problems. They heighten and exacerbate the dangers that already exist individually in each agent alone. So in this setting, without the necessary equipment, without the necessary resuscitative equipment, this, again, is yet another extreme deviation and amounts to gross negligence. Written informed consent. This is a process by which doctors discuss the procedure, a serious procedure such as this,